And without further ado, it's my honor to present Mike Mazzella.
Good afternoon. So, it's 4 o'clock in the afternoon. You've taught all day. I get that. I mean, the most important thing you need to know about me is that I come from a family of teachers. Wife is a former 2nd and 4th grade teacher. I was in the classroom 10 years. My both mother and father were teachers. 3 of my grandparents were teachers, so I get it. I get it. So this guy better be good, right? Just a little bit about my background that'll help us to understand where this came from. I'm the academic director for a company called the Regional Training Center based in Randolph, New Jersey. We partner with LaSalle University and the College of New Jersey to offer graduate courses and full master's degree program in Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and Maryland. The Kinesthetic Classroom Teaching and Learning Through Movement is a graduate course, which I co-designed in 2008. And we said, hey, why are we using someone else's book? We wrote a book that, been doing pretty well, and that's where this all started. So what you're going to hear today is actually from a 40-hour graduate course. So I get to do this on the side, and I love it, and I get to travel, and it's all good. And I'm really happy to be here today with you. So real quick, let me just get a show of hands. Elementary teachers? Okay, middle? High school? Okay, good. And PE? Okay. And then everything else is okay. So, I'll just encourage you to take from this what you can to do what you want with it, whether it's classroom application or it's advocacy or it's, more and more in my travels and what I see, the physical educator is becoming a really important resource in all school districts as a go-to person for how to implement things. That might be another perspective to look at the next couple hours. So let's just get moving. Why don't you stand up? And anybody mind if I take my jacket off? This is my tie. That is good. Okay, I would like you to grab your nose with your left hand. Cross over and grab your opposite ear. And when I say switch, I just want you to take your ear hand and go to the nose, and the nose hand is going to go to the opposite ear. Ready? Switch. 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 Not bad. Switch. And switch.
I messed it up.
All right, shake it out for a second. If you ended up like this, or like this, one quite, it's okay. Try it again. Left hand here. Cross over and grab your opposite ear. Switch. 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 Oh, better. Switch. And switch. All right, good. Good. Shake it out again. I want you to step opposite just like this. And now I want you to clap on the side that you're stepping. So, let's just slow it down a little bit. What you're going to do next, you're going to be happy that I asked you. Okay, good. Crossing that midline, right? Asking the 2 hemispheres to commit, to connect, and to communicate more efficiently. Now, stop clapping, keep tapping. Grab your nose, cross over, grab your ear. Every time we step, we're going to switch. Okay? Ready? Switch. 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 All right, stop. Just tap. Just tap. It's all good. You're actually improving your brain right now. You're myelinating axons of neurons across the corpus callosum. All right, let's try it again. Grab, cross over, and switch, 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 good. Switch, switch, and switch, good. And clap. All right, great. Have a seat. Got some blood flow. All good. What's in play in every moment, every day, in every classroom, kindergarten, through high school, through college, My second book, if it's still up there, right here. I'm not trying to sell it to you because, I think it's a good book, but it's written for corporate trainers, right? Movement for adults. This applies to everybody, and not just K through 3. We are natural-born movers. We're born to move. It's what we do. Learning doesn't happen from the neck up. It happens from the feet up. That's who we are, okay? So the brain-body connection is what's in play all the time. The more you know about it, the more you can influence it in your classroom, and the more you can use it to your benefit in your own life without it running you all the time. Let me give you a couple of examples. Biomedical researchers now know that cortisol, which is a powerful hormonal byproduct of stress, is also a powerful immune cell inhibitor. So what does that mean? Well, as teachers, right? Kind of in the new part of the year, but we're going, we can start to feel it. Go, 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 go. The danger flag gets risen too often, and the accelerator stays down too long, and eventually we go, 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 and we can get what? Burnt out and temporarily sick, right? So what is stress? Stress is a perception of an event. One person's stress is another person's joy. It just is what it is. So what's a perception? It's a thought. So we can link illness to a thought. Profound brain-body influence, this over this. Deepak Chopra has a great quote, "Our immune system is constantly eavesdropping on our inner dialogue." So what you think matters. And it's one way. What about the reverse? With all the PE teachers in here, I may be preaching to the choir, but up until about 2 decades ago, it was always thought that the brain cells or nerve cells or neurons you were born with is all you got. About 86 billion. We now know that that's not true, that we can create new nerve cells in the brain, specifically in the hippocampus region of the brain, through a process called neurogenesis. Who knows how that happens? How does that happen? Aerobic activity. Lots of people read this. They guess sleep, and they guess crosswords, and they guess reading. They're all good guesses. But it's aerobic activity that creates that environment for neurogenesis. It turns out, that the brain is the primary beneficiary of the benefits of aerobic activity. We just didn't know because we couldn't see in. We always thought of the heart, and the lungs, and muscles, etc. But now we know that the brain is number one when it comes to aerobic activity. I think that's cool. So we can change our life by moving. And it should be a part of every thing we do every day in every student's life. So I'd like to show you an activity right now that's going to help you a little bit more feel the brain-body connection so it sticks with you. And so when you go back to school tomorrow, what day are we? Thursday? Still have school tomorrow. You can not come tomorrow, something you can say. But anyway, so yeah, so that you can really internalize it and say, hey, when you come into school tomorrow, this brain-body thing is in play. So if you'd stand up, please. I like to stand on chairs. This one's a little wobbly. In schools, people stand on chairs, right? You've stood on a chair before. I do this in a corporate setting, and everyone's like, oh, what are you doing? Get off the chair, you know? So anyway, what I'd like you to do is to get into a space, most of you are there already, where you can raise your arms and twist one way or the other without touching anyone else. Okay, good. Now I want you to raise your arms, and I want you to twist one way or the other. And when you can't twist anymore, mark that spot on the wall and come on back. And put your arms down. Okay. Now, for over the next 90 seconds or so, I'm going to do a little visualization with you with your eyes closed. When I ask you to do something, I want you to do it in your mind's eye only, in your imagination. If I say in your mind's eye only, raise your arms once again. Don't do this. Okay, it's done here. If you do this, which some of you will, I'll just laugh at you silently and I won't point you out, I promise. Okay? So just everything's going to be done here now. So here we go. Close your eyes. And in your mind's eye only, in your imagination, I would like you to raise your arms once again and twist to the original mark. And I want you to move 12 inches past the original mark. Mark that spot on the wall and come back. There's the original mark. Arms are now at your side. You can put them down. Keep your eyes closed. Once again, raise your arms in your mind's eye only and twist. There's the original mark. There's the 12-inch mark. Now move to 6 inches past the 12-inch mark to 18 inches past the original mark. Mark that spot on the wall and come back. There's the 12-inch mark. There's the original mark. Arms are at your side. You can put them down. One final time with your eyes closed. Raise your arms once again in your mind's eye only and twist. There's the original mark, and you're thinking, how could I ever just do that? Then there's the 12-inch mark, the 18-inch mark. Mark that spot on the wall. It's comfortable and feels good, and come back. There's the 12-inch mark. There's the original mark. Arms are at your side, and you can put them down. Okay, open your eyes. Thank you. Would you raise your arms once again and see how far you can twist? Go. So how many people were able to go a longer distance? Okay, it's not that you couldn't do that before. You could. It's just that our brain can put our bodies in positions of physical success. It's another brain-body connection. And I just can't emphasize enough about how we walk through life not being aware of it. You know, if you're going to have a path to wellness, if you're going to have a path to academic achievement, just having a great life, you've got to be aware of this brain body and how it affects. I mean, you lose sight of it, of course, but the more you know, and the research is just coming out. It's crazy. I didn't do any of this morning, but it's a great TED Talk on power posing. And when we power pose, just like a Wonder Woman pose like this, or if we raise our arms out like this, our testosterone levels rise, and our cortisol levels, our stress levels lower. Okay, so just that act can change our brain just by doing that. There's some kids I work with, family back home in Pennsylvania. I don't do that at all, except for them because they asked, and I don't do it with anyone else. But one's a wrestler, one's a gymnast, and before they do anything, power pose. You know, ultimate brain-body connection. The weakest pose before you sit down that we can do. You can sit and be in a power pose. You know, put your arms back. It's this. Crossed off, arm on neck. It's the weakest position they found. And your cortisol levels rise, testosterone levels drop. It's really interesting. Brain-body connection, always in play. Thanks. Have a seat. So with the time we have today, I'd like to take you through a 6-part framework for using movement and physical activity thoughtfully and purposely. And it's grounded in the brain-body connection. And then we're going to talk about the brain principles that support using movement in the classroom, all classrooms. And then we'll talk about some other things that support and why it raises academic achievement. So the framework consists of 6 parts. Step 1 is preparing the brain to learn. And we did that already. This activity and this is a prepare the brain. Step 2 in the framework, okay, so we want to get the brain ready to learn before a learning episode. Now, have there been times when you have sat for too long? You've been in a meeting, you've been in a presentation, you become disengaged, you're feeling like you need to get up, right? You can't. So, we provide what's called a brain break. Now, I catch a little bit of grief from my PE friends in this little social media world I have going on. They get on me because I call them brain breaks. But you can call them boosts, energizers, whatever you want to call them. Actually, 2 different reasons. There's a reason to call them brain breaks, but they also act as boosts and energizers. I'll come back to that later. So that is to get some good blood flow going around the brain and body. And it's also to give the brain a break because our working memory capacity is very small. And we often fill kids with so much information, so much, too much at one time. So I'll come back to that as well. Step 3 in the framework is supporting exercise and fitness. Step 4 in the framework is creating class cohesion. Step 5 in the framework is reviewing content using movement. And step 6 is teaching content using movement. And by the way, You are all going to get a packet through email after this is over. Okay, so you can write if you'd like. You'll probably get some notes that won't be in the packet you want to write down, but you'll also get just a kind of a guide of some of the activities that we're going to do today, but also the brain principles and the framework, etc. So just wanted to let you know. So what I'd like to do is take you through an activity or two from each part of the framework, and just to give you an idea. Then we'll go into the brain principles. We might have time to come back to some more activities, but we'll do activities throughout the time we are together. So let's do a few more prepare the brain activities. If you'd stand up, please. So again, this was a part of prepare the brain. There's really two parts of preparing the brain. Crossing the midline, okay? And another one is vestibular system development, which we'll get to in a few moments. So let's do some more simple activities that cross the midline and help prepare the brain to learn. Just tap your opposite knee. And if you can and want to, use your elbows to do the same thing. Good. Now what I'd like you to do is to go behind, touch the opposite heel. Good. Okay, so there's three variations right off the bat. You can just use one at a time, or you can use all three. Okay, we'll do one more right now. What I want you to do is to tap your heel in front like this. You're going to touch to the side, and then tap your heel behind. So it's side, tap, side, tap, side, tap, side, tap, side, tap, side, tap. Let's switch sides. Right up front, tap, side, tap, side, tap, side, tap, side, tap, side, tap, side, tap. Very good. So, simple activities to help prepare our brain to learn. Crossing the midline. Vestibular system development is another story. The vestibular system is a visual system. It's one of the earliest visual systems in the brain to develop. It helps keep objects in place and still. Someone's got to do that, right? It's your vestibular system. It keeps words still on a page. Helps us to go from left to right to read. And so a lot of it is about balance. And I want to show you a couple of activities that can be done with kids to help develop the vestibular system. Let me do this one first, and then I'll have you do it with me. So we're going to grab the foot behind, and I'm going to spin twice this way, and then spin twice that way. Okay, just like this. Back the other way. Okay, try it together. So whichever foot you want to start with is fine. I'm going to start out to my right. Yeah, you can just go. And back the other way. Then, I'm going to grab the other foot. And you know, the kiddos, little ones, their ear fluid is very liquidy, and it firms up as we get older, and it makes it harder to spin. Doing the best I can. Here we go. Now, let's do another one. That's called the, what is that called? I can't remember all the names. It's terrible. I get it back to you. So we're going to do jumping jacks now. Circle jumping jacks. So we're going to go twice this way and twice this way. Okay? Oh, that's the one-legged hop and spin. That was really hard. Is that right? Okay, here we go. Ready? And then back the other way. Okay, so there's two vestibular system development activities. Okay? For a moment, take a seat. While you're catching yourself, we're going to be up again in a moment. David is kind enough to put this up here, and some of you have copies of this already. And I asked David, I said, okay if I share? And I always feel comfortable sharing this. This is the book I co-authored because I don't sell them. I don't carry them. And this retails, you can get it for cheaper, but like $31. I make about $1. So I'm comfortable telling you about it. Like if everyone had brought one or purchased one, excuse me, bought one, I would be able to buy dinner tonight maybe. So that's not where I make my money. Having said that, there's more than 170 activities in here. It goes through the framework. There's a chapter on classroom management. There's a chapter on the brain and the brain-body connection. So it's something you might want to look into. That's all. Gives you a lot of ideas. Second one's going to be coming out in May. This book will stay in publication, but there's another one coming out in May. So some of the activities we're doing today are in there. Some are in your packet that you'll be getting. Okay? Just wanted you to be aware of the resource. There's lots of other resources. This one we think is pretty comprehensive. So you've been sitting for too long, listening to a lecture, watching a PowerPoint, and you need to stand up and move. You need what we call a brain break, or a brain boost, or a brain energizer. So let's do a few of those. If we stand up, find a partner. Find a partner. Good. We're going to need a number. Fantastic. So what I'd like you to do is to face your partner, and I want you to put your right palm up and lower them a little bit so they're about waist high. Okay? Take your left pointer finger and put it in the palm of the other person. Now when I say go, I want you to simultaneously try to pull your finger out of your partner's palm and grab their finger. Let me say that again. When I say go, you're going to simultaneously try to pull your finger out of your partner's palm and grab their finger. Ready, go! Awesome. Keep it early. All right, set it up. And now you know I'm from a family of teachers, and I will tell you that teachers cheat. And I'm seeing this. Flat palms. Ready, go! You guys are early movers. Last one, best of three. Here we go. Best of three. Ready, go! Next, I want you to face your partner again, and we're going to do a variation of rock, paper, scissors. So you're going to do rock, paper, scissors, or say, I love math, or 1, 2, 3. I don't care what you do. I'm saying it's up to you. And then let's do it this way. Rock, paper, scissors, show. So you're going to show a number. Your partner's going to show a number. The first person to yell out the sum wins. You go at your own pace. So rock, paper, scissors, show. 6. Rock, paper, scissors, show. 8. Okay, go. Rock, paper, scissors, show. 3. 4. Rock, paper, show. 2. Rock, paper, scissors, show. 5. Rock, paper, scissors, show. 4. Multiply! Multiply! Rock, paper, scissors, show. 6. Rock, paper, scissors, show. 5. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. 2. Subtract! Subtract! Rock, paper, scissors, show. 3. Rock, paper, scissors, show. 3. Rock, paper, scissors, show. 1. Rock, paper, scissors, show. 4. Quiet, 5. Stop. So we're going to do one more, but there's just instantly 3 different, or you can do them together, it doesn't matter, there's 3 different types of brain breaks you can do. So now what I'd like to do, last one for now, I want you to face your partner again, and I want you to show a really happy, smiley, wonderful face towards your partner. Right? Smile, big, happy, yeah. Okay? That's your partner. Good. Now what I want you to do is to show them a really mean, nasty face. You don't look mean. You don't either. Once again, kind face, smiley face, happy face. Yeah. Mean face. Okay? All right, now turn around. Turn around, back to back. You don't have to touch. Just be back to back. And when I say go, you are going to jump in the air to face your partner once again. While you're in the air, make the decision, am I going to show my happy face or my mean face? And the idea is to match. Okay? Yeah, you're trying to. Yeah.
It's pure silliness.
Ready, go. Best of three. Ready, go.
You would do the same one. I knew you would. I knew you would.
Last one.
I'm going to try to.
Ready, go.
I got it. It's like playing the lottery.
We're on the same wavelength.
If you're keeping track, the first one was called finger snatch. The second one is variations on a rock, paper, scissors math. And the third one is the mean face, funny face, jump. The mean face, funny face, jump. Step 3 in the framework is supporting exercise and fitness. My co-author and I, Tracy Langle, she's just a wonderful educator. You know, we had a difficult time deciding whether or not we should include this in the framework. Teachers don't have a lot of influence over the fitness lives of their students' classroom. Physical educators, of course, do. So we went back and forth, and there were two things that swayed us. Number one is this. You may or may not be familiar with this research, but it's huge and growing almost daily. Physically fit kids do better academically, period. Physically fit kids do better academically. First big piece of research was done in California in 2001 with about 1 million kids. They compared the fit grants and the achievement tests of those students and found that the fitter the kids were, the better they did on the test. 2006, they did it in Texas with 2.5 million kids. Charles Hillman's been doing it at the University of Illinois. In 2008, he did it first with 3rd and 5th graders, and he found a more efficient brain, so he looked in. And then in Mississippi, they're doing a lot of this research too. Jerome Calvo at the University of Southern Mississippi does the same thing and shows up the same way. There's 3 things that happen when you have physically fit children. Kids show up to school more, they're in the principal's office less, and they achieve at higher levels. It just always comes out the same way. Even if a child is not physically fit, we know what happens to the brain after an acute bout of aerobic activity in the next hour or so. That's why we have learning readiness PE in different schools in the country, because when you have a child that's struggling in language arts or math, guess when their physical education class is? Right before. Right before. There's been not a great struggle. There's more a transition in physical education, moving away from sport, game, etc., to physical fitness, and even better, finding ways to combine the two. And also, some schools are understanding the research very well, and they're moving towards daily fitness-oriented physical education. You know, we live in a culture of sitness versus fitness. We just do, and we are built to move. And we're becoming more and more aware of it. And, I always say that if I was a superintendent, the first thing I would do, knowing what I know, I would make sure that every child in my school district has the opportunity to become more physically fit. It's just that important. We've lost sight of it. And to continue to ignore the research, in my opinion, borders on malpractice. That's how serious it is. I want to step off my soapbox here and just kind of let you know how important it is for all of us. It's a brain-body connection. There's so much more that physical fitness does than just raise academic achievement. Kids with ADHD, ADD, they make less of something called brain-derived neurotrophic factor, BDNF, which is so critical to learning. The author of a book I'm going to refer you to calls it Miracle Grow for the Brain. And it's housed in your large muscle groups. And when you exercise, it gets released. And so that's kids with ADHD and ADD make less of it. And so that's why they need to move all the time. Okay? Just natural to who they are and to who we are as a species. When you go, has anyone ever been really stressed and you went and exercised and felt great? Right? So when you exercise, when you aerobically exercise, it's like taking a little bit of Ritalin, a little bit of Prozac, without the side effects. It just takes all those neurotransmitters and balances them, and we feel great. So I'm not saying that some children shouldn't be medicated. I'm not a doctor. I'm not saying that at all. What I'm saying is that research shows that exercise can be just as effective, okay, for some things. Now, I guess I'll make that recommendation now. If you haven't already purchased this book, I highly recommend it. It's called Spark, The Revolutionary New Science of Exercise in the Brain. And it's not that new anymore. I think it was published in 2008. The reason I think it's so fantastic, John Rady, the author, is not a fitness guru. He's an associate professor of psychiatry at Harvard. And this book talks about, first 2 chapters talks about school. And then it goes on to talk about ADHD, about stress, about addiction, about Alzheimer's disease, about depression, et cetera, and how the missing link for a lot of it is our lack of movement, lack of aerobic activity. So it's a really great read. In fact, I asked the question earlier. Take a guess where the number 1 8th grade in the world was. 1999, number 1 8th grade in math in the world. Where do you think? What country?
China.
China. Good guess. What else do you think? Finland. That would be another great guess. Great educational system. Actually, it's United States. Yes, Naperville, Illinois. Naperville, Illinois. The difference for those kids, and they finished first in math and 8th in science, the difference for those kids is that they're at their target heart rate every day for 30 minutes or more. Now, their program has grown tremendously since 1999. In one high school, there are 3 in Naperville. I spoke at a conference there years back, and they gave me a tour. In one high school, they have 17 physical educators. Because they understand, they get it. They know what PE does for language arts, for math, and everything else. So they really got it going on. So it's worth a read. All right. I didn't even tell you the second reason we decided to include it in the framework. We didn't get that far. So number 2 reason was that 1 in 3 kids born in the year 2000 will develop diabetes in the United States. It's crazy. And that number rises to 1 in 2 if they're African American or Hispanic. So it's a real problem in this country. And so we felt compelled to include it in the framework. And we have activities in the book that for teachers can use from 2 to 5 minutes that are not going to solve every problem a child has that's fitness related, but it will show them that their fitness life is important to their academic life. And it also displays the teacher as role model, no matter where they are with their own fitness levels. Everybody has a wellness story. It's hard to be healthy in the United States. The odds are against you. We live in a pill and procedure culture. We're a wealthy nation. And that has been our downfall in that area. Everybody's got a story, and everybody needs to step off, including me. I have issues that I have to work against every day. And so, being that role model for kids is important for their life. So, we're not going to actually do any physical fitness activities in here today, but I just wanted to make you aware, heighten your awareness of what it does for the brain, what it does for academic achievement, what it does for a child's overall health, and how it then plays a role in the classroom, brain-body connection. Okay? All right. Step 4. Step 4 in the framework is creating class cohesion. And research tells us, and I'm probably preaching to the choir, but research tells us that when you develop relationships between students, and you develop relationships between students and teachers, academic achievement rises because of building those emotional frameworks within a classroom. Emotional environment creates intellectual achievement. And the biggest problem you face every day is not Common Core. It is not teacher evaluation. It's not assessment. It's student motivation. It is the #1 problem you face every day. And we've got to create an environment to at least make it possible for a child to be a risk taker academically, and for a place where they feel safe to take risks, to know that failure is okay, to raise your hand and be completely wrong, and it becomes a learning experience for everyone. It takes a trick to create an environment like that. But that's what we're after. When you create this equation in the classroom, when you combine effort and ability with a manageable task or risk, okay? Effort and ability, manageable risk, you create the perceived opportunity for success. That's the key to all student motivation. If I perceive that I can have success, I'm going to push. So it's critical that we build these kinds of environments. Is movement the only way we can do that? Of course not. But there's some fun ways that we can do it. And you, as the teacher and the professional in your classroom, get to make decisions about how often that should happen. In an elementary school, it's probably every day. In a middle school, high school setting, you've got to make those decisions. It might be once a semester, it might be once a week. You might do a little something every day. That's up to you. But we are all about our emotions. That's why we learn. That's why we move to do anything. You know, that's why we vote. I'm not going to make any, any comments about that, but it's all moved by emotion. It's who we are. And so we have to build the environment for that. So let's do an activity that hopefully be the most fun you had all day. So if you can move these, great. I love these. Yeah. Move them out this way so we can get it into a circle in the center. Get into a nice circle, because I'm going to ask you to take hands. Okay. All right, go ahead and make the circle smaller. Go ahead and take hands. And I'm going to ask you to keep this balloon in the air without letting it hit the ground and without letting go of hands. You can use your head, nose, chin, elbow, knee, foot, ankle. You can use clasped hands, that's fine. Just don't let it touch the ground and don't let go of your hands.
If you're next to a tall person, it's hard.
You can always let it drop to your feet. You can always use your feet. I got it. There you go. And here's balloon number 2.
Oh, okay.
Bye. Judy.
I got it.
Go, Carol, you got it.
Get to that side. Come on, that side. That way.
Yeah, they need it.
Here's balloon number 3.
Yeah.
1 minute. 1 minute.
There we go.
And give yourselves a nice round. While we're still standing here, so what are the benefits of sweating? That was awesome. What are the benefits of this activity? Teamwork, yeah. We're trying to build that community. Silliness and fun, it's a basic human need. We'll get into that later. Communication. Good, good. What else?
And the holding the hands, you're not running all over the room, so it kind of makes it.
Right. Did anyone heart rate go up?
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you need to take a brain break? No, because you did this. Go ahead.
Now, would it be bad to get 2 groups like this and say, which group can keep it up longer?
You know, that is your call. Actually, in the graduate course, that's how we have it set up. We turn it into a competition. When one drops, the other team gets a point. So you can do that if you want. But I would say that would come after the community is already safe.
Okay.
And then move on to that. Yeah, I think there's room for competition. It's fun. But you've got to keep it in that realm of fun. So, yeah, we actually do it. Anything else?
That was neat. Yeah.
Good, thank you. Tracy came up, I gotta give Tracy credit, you know, she came up with that one. So how about the non-threatening touch? Right? You're holding hands. And I know we're not allowed to touch in school, but in that activity, it's a safe way to do it. And I love rat studies, so I'm gonna talk about a rat study real quick. So Japanese laboratory rats were living to 900 days, and American laboratory rats were living to 300 days. Researchers didn't know why. So when the cages of the Japanese laboratory rats were being cleaned, they were being held. The American rats got put into another cage. As soon as they started holding, touching the American rats, they lived to the same. It's crazy. It's crazy. So, you know, I know there's limits there, but at least it's a chance. We need that
Hug a
touch.
rat.
Yeah.
Hug a rat. Hug a rat when you can.
Save a life.
All right, you can put your seats back together. Thank you very much.
That's so funny. Hug a rat.
That one called balloon tap. Balloon tap. Pretty sure it's in your packet.
One of our gym teachers just did that with, at the elementary level, I think with third graders and beach balls.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's
And
harder.
he had like 5 groups, it was a big class. So he had either 4 or 5 groups, and it was interesting to see how the kids worked together or didn't. You know, to see who could keep that up the longest.
And I would imagine that heavier material.
It was hard, I
It's
think.
hard, yeah.
I think the balloons are a better way to go.
And those are good balloons. I've used all kinds of balloons, and those are actually good ones.
They make the activity easier, and I always check, and I asked David this morning
Yeah, some
about
of them, they just drop
the
out.
latex issues, so they are, and I checked, but yeah, that makes it easier, they float longer, just a better balloon.
Don, he has, one of the other health teachers, he has very light beach balls. They're very thin, that's what he uses.
Okay, that's good.
Kind of takes away the latex. We don't,
Or makes it hard, you know, if you want to challenge, okay, so do it with balloons,
Yeah.
now do it with beach
they're
balls.
they're very thin beach balls, very light. So it's,
If you do it with anything, do it with baseballs too, right?
Baseballs.
Okay, step 5 in the framework is reviewing content, using movement. And again, is it the only way to review content? Of course not. Is it always applicable? Of course not. But once in a while, it's good to review content this way. So at your seats, if you'd stand again, please. I have multiple choice questions for you to answer. Not very high up Bloom's taxonomy, but it's a simple recall, but that's okay. I want you to answer me physically. So if the answer is A, I just want you to walk in place. So let's do that together to practice. A. B, touch your opposite knee. C, I want you to do an upper body jumping jack. So we're just going to wave our arms. Okay. And D is going to be nose ear. Okay. Let's review that one more time. A, B, C, and D. Great. Wait till yeah, so I can say go. I want you to hear all 4 answers. Thanks. I need someone to finish for me, right? Late in the day. Which person was not a U.S. president? Was it A, George Washington? And no, that's not right. B, John Quincy Adams, C, Alexander Hamilton, or D, Martin Van Buren? Go. And the answer is C, Alexander Hamilton. Okay? Good. I have fun questions in here too. There's music, sports, movies, no music. Which actress portrayed Erin Brockovich? Was it A, Charlize Theron, B, Jennifer Aniston, C, Julia Roberts, or D, Angelina Jolie? Go. And that would be correct. Right. And Julia Roberts. In what is considered the worst trade in the history of sports, Babe Ruth was traded to the New York Yankees from what team? Was it A, the Chicago White Sox, B, the Philadelphia A's, C, the Brooklyn Dodgers, or D, the Boston Red Sox? Go.
Wait, oh, yeah.
This is Boston Red Sox. Curse of the Bambino. Okay, good. What city is the capital of California? Is it A, Sacramento, B, Los Angeles, C, San Francisco, or D, San Diego? Go. Yeah. A, Sacramento. Two more, both movie questions. Which actor portrayed the Terminator? Was it A, Sylvester Stallone, B, Arnold Schwarzenegger, C, John Wayne, or D, Jim Brown? Correct. Governor and the capital. That's right. And finally, which actor played the original Batman? So not TV. What's his name?
Adam West.
Adam West. Yeah, not Adam West. The 80s movie, the first one of the first movies. Okay? So is it A, Bruce Willis, B, Val Kilmer, C, Michael Keaton, or D, Christopher Reeves? Go. And you know what's really interesting? It's not Val Kilmer, it's Michael Keaton. I actually watched that movie not too long ago, and I forgot how bad it was.
You watched the whole thing.
Right. I know, it's got to get better. So what are the benefits? What are the benefits of an activity like this to review information?
Fun.
Fun. It's fun, right? It's engaging. Okay? Everybody is involved. How many times have we asked the class who was the second president of the United States? Same four kids raised their hand. We called on Sally, and everyone else goes, okay, she didn't call on me. And you stop the retrieval process. For some kids, it's slower than others, depending upon how they where they stored it. Okay. What else? Why else is this effective?
Memory.
Memory.
I have to keep remembering which letter.
A couple of things going on, okay? And you might even have kids that will be on a test and they attach something to an answer that they remember. What else? Is it
I
safe?
think it would be safe, because
It's
if you
safe.
weren't sure, you could watch somebody else and.
Some people were
you're
doing
like,
that.
oh,
They were looking
right,
around.
and you know, it was.
That
it was
happened.
Safe.
This happened. Oh, yeah.
It's fun.
And what else? What do you think? What about as an assessment tool? I know when I come back tomorrow, I have to go over the fact that Alexander Hamilton never rose to the presidency. He had an affair, then he was killed by the vice president, and that's that. Okay, so I'd have to go, I saw that. I was a little bit unsure about that. So instead of going through 20 papers or getting on the computer and see who did, I saw instant. So it can be a good assessment tool. Again, not appropriate all the time, but really a good way to get a feel for the class. Anything else? Do we have to take a brain break? I mean, you know, if we're doing this, do I need a brain break? No, because they're up and moving already. So you see how this, you know, when I talk to teachers, I talk about, you know, going from the self-view of teacher to that of facilitator of learning, cliche, and designer of the learning environment. And so there's decisions that have to be made. It's not just throw this out and let's do this, and then it doesn't work and you're unhappy and I'm never doing that again. It takes some thought in the process. All right, thanks. Have a seat. So we call that one cardio review. Cardio review. Finally, last part of the framework is teaching content using movement. And I would love to have maybe 8 volunteers come up to the front. I swear all you're going to do is stand here, not hard. Just stand in a circle. There's no twisting, spinning, anything. And it can be 7 or 9. Now, if you want to come up, come on up.
I was tweeting.
All right, so tighten up the circle. I mean, you don't have to be right side of each other, but just make it a nice circle, no eggs or ovals. Now, I need a walker. One person who would like to walk.
I'll walk, get my
You
steps
put,
in.
you know what, you're in the circle.
Walking in the circle.
Someone else.
Oh.
So what I'd like you to do is start here and go heel toe all around the circle. 1, 2, 3. Okay, count your steps.
Oh, count my steps.
Count your steps.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Yeah, Yeah, I should have picked a size.
17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23,
Keep going.
26, 27, 28.
All right, stay there. Now, turn towards me. Turn towards me. Sorry, what's your name?
Jen.
Hey, Jen. Okay, Jen, turn towards me. Would you open up the circle right here too, and walk a straight line, count your steps. Same thing, straight line.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
8, and maybe we can get to about 8.5. So what did we just figure out kinesthetically? The circumference and diameter of a circle. And it works. The diameter is, circumference is a bit more than 3 times the diameter of a circle. But we took it away from the PowerPoint. We took it out of the book. We took it away from your mouth, and we made it real. And the bottom line is a kid could go home and teach this in his kitchen that night. It just brings a new level of understanding. Again, this type of teaching is not always appropriate, but sometimes it is when possible. And vast majority of your students in your classroom are either visual or kinesthetic learners, and they will take to this. Again, when possible. You bring in an episodic piece, where I was in space when I learned something. I'll talk about that again in a little while. You bring in the cerebellum and movement. You bring in implicit learning. Let me make a point here. How many people in here can tell me the first 10 presidents of the United States? Raise your hand. I usually have 1. 2, okay, all right, sorry. How many people in here can change a light bulb? Right? We did it, we saw someone else do it. We did it 1 time, maybe 2, and we had it for life. And we just take it for granted. Think about that. We can't remember 10 names, but we can remember how to do a light bulb, because that's how the brain prefers to learn. The 10 names is hard for the brain. It's not that it can't be done. People memorize lots of information, and I'm not saying memorization is not good. It is, okay? But this is how the brain prefers to learn. It could be that the brain prefers lists, prefers reading and instant memorization, prefers conversation and instant memorization, but it's not how it's set up. Not that it can't do it, it's just not how it's set up. The brain prefers implicit learning that happens almost below our conscious awareness through emotion and through movement. That's what it prefers. And this is an opportunity to do so. Okay? All right, now, I'm not done with you yet. All simple stuff though. Would you line up side by side, tallest to shortest, facing the audience? I'll fix it. Don't worry, just get in there, I'll fix it. All right, that is good. Yep, switch. All right, good, good. Oh, boy. Switch. All right, great. So here we have a human number line. And you're going to, well, we'll make you 0. But you're not 0. You're 0 distracted. So 1, 2, 3, 4, -1, -2, -3. Difficult for some kids to understand that -2 is less than +2. And now they can see it, they can feel it. You can do some simple addition and subtraction out of here as well. So just a couple of ways, quick math examples where you can teach something kinesthetically. I want to give you one more that I actually didn't do this afternoon. I had kids come to me in my classroom, gosh, 15, 17 years ago, and say, Mr. K, we have this test this afternoon, and we don't get it. And so I thought, oh, you've come to the wrong person. I'm not a math guy. But I was teaching this stuff part-time, and I thought, hey, put your money where your mouth is. So here was what they didn't understand. So math teachers, forgive me. But if you bisect a triangle at its midpoint, that line is parallel to the base, right? Not too bad, but they didn't get it. So would you take about 6 steps forward? Would you take 3 steps? You take 3 steps. two can have a seat. Thank you very much. And you can have a seat. Thank you very much. So do you see where we have the triangle? And I had a child here, and I had a child here. Instantly. Got an email from a parent a day later. Whatever you did, Mike, thanks, because we were working on it at home and she wasn't getting it. And I can see the situation at home, sitting at their kitchen table or dining room table with the book open. Mom was explaining. Daughter wasn't getting. Mom started talking louder. And daughter still wasn't getting it, you know, and it just took this. It's not always appropriate. You can't always do it this way, but when you can, give it a shot. Thanks. Have a seat. All right. Any questions or comments so far? Okay, good. Oh, no, you can. Yeah, ask away. It's okay. So what I'd like to do now is to get into the principles related to movement, the brain principles related that support using movement in the classroom and movement and physical activity. So we've been through the framework, and I just want to share a little bit of some almost commonsensical research about, you know, what about the brain really loves this. And so number one is this: the brain wants, loves novelty. It's an attentional thing. You have your kids for about how old they are in minutes, if you're wanting them to pay strict attention to you. So if you're working with a 10-year-old, you got them for about 10 minutes. Beyond that, you take your chances. The brain starts to scan its environment for threats. Remember, the brain is always paying attention, probably just not to you. So we just have to make sure we're using novelty well, okay? So if I am talking to you about movement, and I'm talking to you about novelty, and all of a sudden, I do that, right? You pay attention. Your brain is pre-programmed to notice differences. That's the principle behind novelty. And I hope I didn't break the camera back there. And so the brain prioritizes very quickly. The brain prioritizes information on 3 levels. Survival, it will always survive first. Most likely you don't have kids coming in the classroom in survival, but you might. A kid who has had no dinner the night before, breakfast the morning of, sexually abused, family trouble, they might, okay? You have to be aware of that. The people in New Jersey this morning with the train, you know, ran into the station. Survival mode. Nothing's getting done in their life today or the next day. You know. Second is you will have kids every day come into your room in this mode, and it's the emotional level. That's what the brain prioritizes next. There's people here right now. You're all professionals, and it's, you know, it's 5 o'clock in the afternoon, and you're being great, and it's fantastic. But you probably have something going on in your life that's tugging you this way. Some emotional angst that you need to take care of. It's just playing out in your life. It's just who we are as humans. And you have kids every day that come in the classroom that way. So I always ask teachers, what are you doing for those kids, for all kids when they come through the door? Because you don't have time to sit down and say, hey, how's your day going? Is everything going okay at home? For every child? No. Right? So when they come through the door, maybe it's just a handshake and an eye contact, which raises dopamine levels in the brain. It's a feel-good neurotransmitter. Or maybe it's music playing when you come through the door. Okay, favorite song, some classroom theme song, whatever. And my wife used to use Cheers for second graders, where everybody knows your name. Good drinking song for second graders, right? So they would come in and they'd circle up and they would sit down in the back of the room and wait for her to come back. And they would start their morning meeting. And about 3 weeks into the school year, they started on their own. She didn't tell them to do this. They got arm in arm. Started swaying to the music until she got back there. You can't beat that with a stick. When you are trying to get to the last level, the brain will go, cognitive. That's where we want the brain. But it has to get past this and this first to go here. And it might just be some movement at their chair before they sit down. Let's do a little stretching, let's do a little deep breathing, something where we can just kind of get rid of the cobwebs, relax, have a seat, let's learn. All right, so that's principle number 1, novelty. Number 2 is the brain expects, loves, likes movement. I'm sure how I say it in the packet. The brain responds to movement. So,
If you were watching me, did you have to say to yourself, hey brain, he's on the move, watch him? No, that's silly. You do it automatically, right? Because your brain is pre-programmed to learn through the movement of other people and objects in its environment, and also through its own movement. This is one of the best learning tools we have. So that's principle number 2. Needs novelty, needs movement. Number 3, I need a volunteer for. And you're not going to have to move. You're not going to have to get up. I just need to tell me a few things. Any volunteers? I promise it won't hurt. I swear it's going to be. Okay, you just stay there. This is easy. We're all good. What I want you to do is to tell everybody a little bit about yourself. So where did you go to, who and what do you teach? And hold on, and because I'll forget the list. Wait for me.
Oh, God, did I write it down? I won't remember it.
Okay, you can write it down too.
Okay.
I want you to tell us where you went to college. I want you to tell us a little bit about your family, and I want you to tell us a few hobbies. Okay. So first one was who and what you teach.
4th grade
Yeah.
at Coleytown Elementary.
Okay. Good. College.
Graduated from Southern, not the only Southern Connecticut State, not the only college I went to, C.W. Poston, Long Island University in Brooklyn.
Great. And family.
Family.
Whatever you want to share.
Family's close by from Bridgeport. My mom and my brother.
Okay. Awesome. And hobbies. Any hobbies?
I wrote it down, it's hobbies.
Okay.
Exercising, walking, reading your book. And,
Oh, good.
no. And reading, and I like the movies a lot. Oscar season coming.
Good. Very good. Did you like Brooklyn? Did you see Brooklyn?
I have not seen Brooklyn yet.
Oh, you need to. Who
I
saw?
have
Anybody
not
seen
seen
Brooklyn?
Brooklyn
Is
yet.
that such a good movie? Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's out on, it sounded like a really
good.
good one.
Anyway.
I'd like to see that.
So you know where my brain was when she said that. So here's my point. Did you have to tell your brain, say, hey, she's talking, stop, listen, and make connections? Did you have to tell your brain that? No, automatically, right? Automatically. 4th grade, my wife taught 4th grade for a long time. First, when you said Southern, that's all you said.
Mhm.
And I went right to Southern Middle School, which is in the city of Reading where I grew up.
Mhm.
Brain just did that. And then you talked about your family, and you have a brother and your mother, and I thought about my 2 sisters and my mother, and then she talked about her hobbies and exercise, reading, this getting flooded. So here's the point. Every time new data comes into the brain, you have a part of the brain, I'll mention it again, I talked about it before, called the hippocampus, that searches long-term memory stores for relevancy. For relevancy. Your job as a teacher is to build your kids' long-term memory, period. So they can use it again next week, next month, next year, in 10 years. That's the only reason you work, is so you can build their long-term memory. And there's 2 criteria for storing things in the long term. Number 1, does it make sense? And number 2, does it have meaning? Which one do you think is more powerful? It's meaning, yeah. If you spent every day the rest of the school year trying your best, it's not always possible, trying your best to find why this is meaningful and relevant to my kids, what I'm going to teach today, you'll have the best school year of your life. And your kids will be the happiest they've been in school. It's the key to learning and memory. And you sometimes can help build that meaning through movement. Not always, but sometimes. So we've got novelty, we've got movement, we've got meaning. And I would ask that you think about all of your teaching with these brain principles in mind. Maybe the backdrop for your assessments, for your lessons, for your homework, for your activities in your room. Because it's how the brain prefers to learn. Anybody see the movie 50 First Dates?
Yeah.
Right? Hippocampus, on every night. Hippocampus damage. Have you seen the movie Memento? Have you seen that movie? Crazy. What's that?
Usual suspects.
That's usually.
Yeah, this was a backwards murder mystery, and the guy had hippocampus damage. So it's short-term memory damage. It's interesting. All right, I've been talking enough.
We have 3 more principles to go, but let's stand up in the meantime. Find your partner again. Find your partner. We're going to take a brain boost. I don't think I've ever said that publicly when I was just, there we go. You tell.
I already tweeted that to him earlier, so I will make sure that.
Good, good, okay. All right, face your partner. We're going to do another variation on rock, paper, scissors. 2 hands. I want you to go rock, paper, scissors, shoot. No, show. We say show. And I want you to show 2 numbers. Add them together. Add your partners together and multiply. So rock, paper, scissors, show, add, multiply. Go.
Show. Oh, wait.
Oh,
Yeah, it must be right.
Wherever you're at, just do 1 more. 1 more.
Oh, you're 5? Oh. Oh, no, we have to add.
All right, great. Turn towards me. Turn towards me. Good. Just another variation. Okay, so now I want to show you another brain break. And I want you to use the top of your head as a writing utensil in the air. And I want you to write the name of your mother. Just with your head. Just like this. Good. And now I would like you to use your right elbow to write the name of your father. And now I would like you to use your left elbow to write the name of your best friend. It's really funny because sometimes people wait. It's like, folks, nobody's going to know. You can say Brad Pitt, it's all good. So, okay, so this is where it gets fun. You've all won 2 weeks, all expenses paid vacations, anywhere in the world you want to go. With your right hip, I want you to write where you're going. Mine has 2 dots. And now, with your left hip, I want you to write the name of the food or the meal that you have every day on this trip. It's a special place. It's free. There's no calories. You just go have fun. All right, here we go.
Remember, we're being recorded.
This morning we were doing a brain break in the library at one of the elementaries, and there was a class in the computer room next door, all these little kids, and they're looking in like, what are the adults doing? You know? Yeah, it's funny. All right, have a seat.
There you go.
So that is just called body writing. It's called body writing. All right. Number 4 of the 6 brain principles. Number 4, the brain thrives on concrete experience. The brain thrives on concrete experience. It wants to do. No matter what your profession, at some point you have to do it. So if you're a teacher, if you're a lawyer, if you're a doctor, or you're a dentist, at some point you need to do it. Would you rather have a surgery by the surgeon who's done it 4 times or 4,000? Were you a very good teacher after your first 2 years of undergrad? What about after you student taught? A little better, right? Your first year, 3rd year, 5th year, etc. You get better and better as you do. So the more that you can make things real and concrete for kids, the better off you're. When possible, when doable. Number 5, the brain needs social interaction. The brain needs social interaction. And, you know, have we done that today through movement? Yeah, easily, easily. Now, kids need social interaction in different ways. There are some people that say, hey, I need to be away from the group for a while to re-energize. That's my wife. All good. There are people that like to be the center of attention. Okay, and you all have kids in your classrooms. You know who they are. That's how they get their social interactions. But there are ways that we can create that through movement easily. Okay, so that's 5. And finally, number 6, what am I not getting? Oh yeah, I want you to think about something for me. Right now, if you would, I want you to think about your most powerful memories. Go. You don't have to share it with everybody. Most powerful memories, and stop, because I already know it's there. Raise your hand if there is an emotion attached to it. Of course. Emotion helps embed learning. Emotions help embed learning. That's number 6. Have we created emotion today through movement? Have we laughed together? Sure. So we can meet these brain principles through using movement. Did anyone think about their 8th grade social studies class? No. Sometimes when I think about my most powerful memories, I do. I was raised in a time, I'm old enough that I was in school at a time where you would sometimes walk into the class and all the notes were already written on about 6 boards. And you sit down and just copy every note. And maybe you'd get a little discussion or explanation, and that was it. So that was emotional for me. So anyway, so we've got novelty, we've got movement, we've got meaning, concrete experience, social interaction, and emotion. There's one more I'd like to share, which will lead into another something I want us to do, and that is, well, I'm going to give you 2. The brain rarely gets it done, and I don't want to do that one. The brain needs incubation time for memories to form. The brain needs incubation time for memories to form. That's just an interesting one. It's not one that really has to do with movement. But have you ever had a situation where you leave school and you're like, you know what, wow, this is why I teach, I'm great. And then you come in the next day and they look at you like you have 3 heads, you didn't go over that, right? The hippocampus encodes information while you sleep. Encodes information while you sleep. So if you really want to know what your kids know, check the next day. Check 24 hours later, okay? The other one I wanted to tell you was that the brain needs fuel. No, the brain needs glucose as fuel. It doesn't store it, but it needs it to burn. Okay, so the brain needs glucose as fuel. It does not store it. It's like a car. It uses it, but doesn't store it. You need to refill it. Which brings me to something else I'd like to do with you. So if you would get into, all of you just get into a circle right here. Sit in this chair for a moment. Is that okay? Very good. Okay. If you would please take hands in your circle. And I would like for you to take your pointer finger and put it here. And I'd like you to do the same thing on the other strip. Up on the strip.
Oh.
Now break apart somewhere. Now put it back together. Okay, now, the 2 of you break apart. You keep going. You put your fingers on there. There you go. Now turn around. You see there's a cup of water behind you. Okay? I'd like you, you're going to need it on the table. And I both want you to put your finger in the water. Good luck. One of you tap a rhythm in and out. Yeah, just one of you. Go ahead, tap in and out, just like this.
Oh, this way.
Okay. All right, you can all let go of your hands. So this is called a UFO ball. It's got a negative and a positive strip. And the point is to show you how much electricity you have in your brain. You have 86 billion neurons in your brain. Each neuron contains electricity. You can fit 30,000 in the tip of a pencil. That's how small they are. It's crazy. And they represent the foundation for learning. They get together to form neural networks that create memory. And so in order to conduct that electricity, you need to be hydrated. You need to be, have water in your system. And so what we know about athletes is that as their urine darkens and they become dehydrated, we know that their athletic performance drops. And you can assume the same thing in the classroom. Now, I have had times when it didn't quite work, and someone admitted to not being very hydrated. And they went and got a drink and came back, and it worked.
can you hydrate yourself through soda, tea, juice, coffee? What do you think?
I'm sure you did.
The answer is yes, but it takes longer. It takes about 30 minutes for that to hydrate you. You just get a whole bunch of bad stuff with it. How long do you think it takes for water to hydrate, rehydrate you?
Anything?
About 3 minutes. About 3 minutes. So this is a cool little thing you can do with your kids, maybe. That's called a UFO ball. If you Google it, it'll come up, or you can go to a site called Action-Based Learning, and they have it in their store. It's like $5 or something. So, anyway, another brain principle. You need water. Thank you.
My third grade dehydration.
What was the name of the site?
Action-based with a D, actionbasedlearning.com. All right. So, in order to understand, and we talked about the brain principles, but in order to understand the reasons why movement, physical activity enhance academic achievement, it's important to know what happens when you sit for too long. And so when you are seated too long, blood pools in the butt and legs. It just does. And you know, if you want to see a really short video, 5 minutes or shorter, on the hazards of sitting, just go to YouTube and put in TED Ed and the hazards of sitting. And it explains everything in that video. You know, and I'll always give both sides. There's researchers out there that are saying extended periods of sitting is correlated with 3 different types of cancer. There's other people that say, other researchers say, you know what, you can sit for as long as you want, fine. So, but you know, it's detrimental to learning. Just by standing up, there's different estimates out there, about 30% more blood flow to the brain. And that's important. We want oxygen and blood flow around the brain and body. The other thing that happens when we sit for too long is that the brain says, hey, you've been sitting for a while. You must be sleepy. And does a little chemical brain dance with some melatonin, and it makes you sleepy. Or you have felt that effect before when you're seated for too long? Okay. Also, I know in all of your classrooms, your students sit like this, correct? And more often than not, it's like, oh man, she is talking again, right? And they're cramping their breathing systems. So it's important who we are. We just need to move every once in a while. They need to stand up. It's going to look different in an elementary classroom than it does in the secondary classroom, but it still should happen, okay? So, having said that, why? Well, first of all, it gives the brain a break. As far as the brain is concerned, shorter is usually better because of our very small working memory. As an adult, you can only hold about 5 to 9 bits of unrelated information at one time. If you're like age 5 to 14, we're looking at about 3 to 7. That means if I put a number up here, that's 14 digits in length, and gave you a minute to memorize it, you couldn't do it. Now, eventually, could you chunk it out? Yeah, but you couldn't do it. It exceeds your working memory capacity. We exceed kids' working memory capacities all the time. If I took this bottle of water, and there's already water in here, as you know, and I poured this entire thing in here, what would happen? It would overflow. It happens all the time in school. So the brain needs breaks. Shorter is usually better. I'm suggesting to you that you teach in short bursts, that there be some review time or processing time, whether it happen in discussion, reading, make a chart, whatever, and then give them a break. Completely away. Let them laugh, let them give a little cortisol burst, a little finger snatch, and then set them back down and go on with the content. Okay? Next, we've talked about this already, enhances episodic memory. Here's another important sentence. Your brain is always creating a learning address for where it is when it learns something. It creates this space. This is where I learned this. So if I was going to test you on all this information tomorrow, where would I have you sit? same seat. There's a cognitive advantage. Now, what's happening a little bit in our country is something called flexible seating, where you have a dynamic classroom, and there's not many seats left. It's not the norm by any stretch. It's a trend, and hopefully it will grow. And by the way, the classroom is changing. The modern classroom is changing to where you are, in a couple of decades, going to only see, kinesthetic classroom type of equipment. Whether they're strider desks, standing desks, bicycle desks, it's coming. It really is coming. It's all around the world, and it's growing. Having said that, I suggest to you to keep kids in the same seat, or to change seat by content, by chapter, by topic, by unit, and let them test in the area where they learn the information. Last job was junior high, when they used to have junior highs. And what drove me crazy is that kids would learn all their information in one room, and then when they had their midterms and finals, they'd move them to another room with a different proctor. No, it's crazy. You are a part of the episodic information, so just think about that the next time you want a sub to give a test. Just some food for thought. You are a part of the episodic information. So what else? What are the other advantages, and why does movement support academic achievement? Sensory integration. Our brain stores information through sensory cues. We don't usually use this, and now we give the brain another opportunity to store information through sensory cues. It differentiates instruction. We can differentiate 3 ways: readiness, interest, and learning profile. This is learning profile. Differentiates instruction. Goodness, Mike. We talked about implicit learning. 2 more, and then we're going to stand up and move the rest of the time, okay? One is they're both critical. So how many people in here, raise your hand if you are familiar with or can tell me about state management? Anyone? 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 What was that movie? Ferris Bueller's Day Off, right? Anyone? I get the same answer all around the world. And I'm here to tell you it's one of the most important things you can understand. I say, so state management is the brain, body, emotional state of your learners. Managing the brain, body, emotional state of your learners. And that's not usually what we're trained to do. You come in, you're quiet, you listen, we do what we need to do, and if you need help, we'll help you. But now I'm asking you to watch your students and their emotional states. Okay, so let me give you an example. Well, let me tell you why first. I told you how important meaning is of long-term memory, right? It's the key. Meaning is one of the main keys. Emotion is all about meaning. Meaning is about emotion. So, here's the sentence of the day. Meaning making is state dependent. Meaning making is state dependent. Meaning how you feel about the learning matters. The state that you're in when you're learning something matters. Spend a week with Tony Robbins. Anyone know Tony Robbins? Right? Was at his business mastery thing in Las Vegas a couple of years ago. Unbelievable. You talk about a state changer. We got there at 7 to get a seat by 8 because you wanted to get up as far as you could. There till 10. And you might have had an hour break during the day, and that's it. They bring mushroom soup up the aisles. Here, pass it down, drink. And you could go till 1. I'm not kidding. Because you're up on your chair and you're dancing and you're screaming, and he has dancers on stage, and he's out there with the music, and he just prepares you to learn. And then you learn. And then you get going again and doing your thing, and it's incredible. So if you have a kid that's like this, or you have a classroom that looks like this, they're not doing anything wrong, right? Just not paying attention. Or they're bored, or they're tired. And you have something important coming up, stop. Manage their state. You can scream at them like I did. Did that change your state? Yeah. 2 best available managers of state are movement. Get them up. Cortisol burst of laughter, then sit them back down and hit them with your content. 3 reasons from the beginning of the Revolutionary War. Okay, that's appropriate. The other great available manager of state for you is music. If I put on a Rocky theme right now, would your state change? Yeah. Even just thinking about it changed some faces in here. I didn't even have to play it.
I have a fourth grade teacher friend that when there's a problem in class, 2 kids are talking, he gets out his remote, boom, on comes Aretha with respect. Changes their state, stops the behavior, he turns it off, he goes on. So just some food for thought. Finally, a question for you. Have you been, so that's it for state management. I'm moving on to the last one. Have you been more motivated and engaged today when I've been talking or when you've been moving? Just say it out loud. Really? No, I'm just kidding. Of course, of course. Movement keeps you in the movement. Movement keeps you in the moment. There you go. Movement keeps you motivated. There's a big term in education right now. It's been around forever, but education's taking it on now, mindfulness. And movement keeps you mindful, okay? I've had also the privilege of creating a graduate course on motivation for teachers and students. And I based part of it on Glasser's work, 5 basic human needs, choice theory, and the 5 needs are survival, belonging, freedom, power or competence, and fun. He says that there is no misbehavior, that all behavior is purposeful, that we have a scrapbook in our head of how our life should be, and we compare that to the outside world and the events that happen, and we act appropriately to meet our needs. He says behavior mod doesn't work, that we should do more to meet the needs of kids in the classroom, and we'll get them acting appropriately and achieving at higher levels. So if you look at what we've done today, you know, I have a son, he's 20 years old now. He's a college athlete, he's a very kinesthetic kid. But in first grade, it just sticks out in my mind, he sat for the entire year. That's just how that first grade was run. It is what it is. So just if he would have had the opportunity in that classroom to get up, he would have met a survival need, right? Socially, belonging. Have we done group work today? Have we done partner work today? Yeah, it meets that need too. Freedom. Schools are restricted places because they have to be. I get that. But when you give kids the opportunity to move in class, it meets the freedom need. Power or competence, how we learned today, circumference and diameter, integers, geometric equations. Sure. So we're building power and competence of children, differentiating the way they prefer to learn. And finally, fun, no-brainer. Now, Glasser doesn't say, hey, let's go have a party. He says that fun is the natural payoff for learning. And we have created fun in this classroom today. So is movement the only way to create and meet basic human needs and create student motivation? No, but it's a pretty powerful way. So I think that motivation, your toughest challenge every day, is the greatest byproduct of creating a kinesthetic classroom and using movement and physical activity. Okay? Any questions, comments? All right, let's stand up. We're just down to about 20, 25 minutes, and we're just going to move the rest of the time. Let's see. How many people in here, maybe I won't do this activity, teach cardinal directions? Anybody? A couple? All right, let's do it. That's fun. But what I need you to do is to face me and turn your body, angle it towards the back wall so you're straight instead of turned in. Yeah. I am north. I maybe not be north, I have no idea, but in here I'm north. So I'm going to read you a story. And so when I say north in the story, I want you to take a few steps forward. So north, come north. South. East. No, west. West. East. All right, here we go. I woke up one Saturday morning and decided that I wanted to take a trip, but I didn't know where to go. Should I go south toward Niagara Falls, towards warm weather? Whew, that's really late in the day. Should I go north to see Niagara Falls? Should I go west to Ohio to ride one of my favorite roller coasters at Cedar Point? Or should I go east to see my friends in New Jersey? There are so many wonderful things to see and do that I just couldn't make a decision.
Finally, I decided to bounce a penny onto my map and follow its path. The penny landed on Niagara Falls, so I began to head north. On my way there, I decided to take a small detour and head east towards Bar Harbor, Maine. After a day of whale watching, I headed west, back toward Niagara Falls. It was wet. What should I do next, I wondered. Then I realized that I had never seen a flamingo, so I headed south to Florida. I was so hot there that after a little while, I knew that I needed to go somewhere cooler. I decided to go to Mammoth Cave in Kentucky. I figured that a cave would be cool, but oh my, I had a problem. Kentucky wasn't in just one direction, but two from Florida. What was I to do? Then it hit me. I would go in both directions at the same time. Boy, am I smart or what. I traveled northwest and found the cave. The cave was fun for a while, but then I decided to visit my friend Cowboy Sam. So I decided I would head southwest to Dallas, Texas. Sam wasn't home, so I decided to travel to northeast to Washington, D.C. to see the White House. That got me thinking about the presidents, so I headed northwest to Mount Rushmore in South Dakota. It was amazing. I heard about a famous bridge in San Francisco, California, so I headed southwest again to see the Golden Gate Bridge. Guess what? It's red. I decided to head north to Seattle, Washington, and went into the Space Needle. Now, I have to qualify these next two sentences. I did not write this, Tracy did. And it got past the editor. So we're in the Space Needle, and the next sentence is, wow, was I high. And the next sentence after that was, I started to feel hungry. When I heard my mom call me to come for dinner. We were having hot dogs, so I didn't want to be late. I quickly headed southeast and was home and eating hot dogs in a flash. Cardinal direction. All right, so that was from our sixth part of the framework, which is teaching content. I'm just going to work my way backwards because we've done a lot of brain breaks today. We've done a lot of preparing the brain activities today. So let's go back and do a review content activity. So if you would please, with all you need is your chair and a writing utensil, and to get into a circle. So you can just roll them up however you want. Just get in a circle where you are, a nice circle right through here. Of course.
You had said earlier that the brain learns better with emotion. Okay. Does it have to be positive emotion, or does negative emotion work just as well?
You know, listen, big Tony Robbins fan, and he talks about the pain-pleasure principle. And he will say that the brain will do more to prevent pain than gain pleasure. And so he talks about focusing on that, what you'll lose if you don't do this. That's where he ends up. So absolutely. I mean, some of our most powerful, I don't want to send anyone down a rabbit hole, but some of our most powerful memories are negative. So the answer, that absolutely, the answer is resounding yes.
I just feel like it could be wrong, but we're in a place now where we're pretty much told, we shouldn't be providing students with learning experiences which could be connected to anything that's negative. And, like we went through this whole thing, like, for a while, you couldn't put any rules up that say, don't do, it has to be all positive stuff, and I'm like, it's not the way I learn, and I'm thinking, I just wanted to know if I was just out there by myself kind of thing.
No, you know what? I think that, well, I know that the brain rarely gets it right the first time. And so kids need to know that they are going to make mistakes and that it's actually good. It's a powerful teacher. You know what not to do next time. So I find, I don't want to go down the road of negative emotion. I want to cause a negative emotion in your life because that can be a detriment. But we all do things wrong. We all make mistakes. And the way we frame them can be very powerful. And so absolutely, negative emotion can be a very powerful teacher. You just have to be extremely careful when you use it purposely. So, yeah, agreed. So what you need, come on down, get in the circle, and you'll need that open space with your desk. Like if you can twist your table out, you just need to be able to get up from your desk. All right.
Oh, here, we'll step on my
take one and pass it around?
Sure.
Take one and pass it around, and shoot.
You know, I've done some of the activities in the classroom, and I'm sure that there are studies, there are just some students, for example, I did the heel tap today, across in front, across in back. And there are
Okay.
just some students that really are not coordinated, and they struggle with it. If you do these over across the year, have you had
Yes.
teachers ever experience that they get better
Absolutely.
at it?
You,
No, I'm curious, because it's like an
No.
activity, and I was watching some children, and I was like, boy, that makes sense, why they may not be able to do that. It's very fascinating to watch.
Jean, thank you. Jean Blades, who wrote the foreword for the book, I don't know if you're familiar with her work, but she's huge in my world. Creator of action-based learning and the action-based learning labs. And she says she can walk in a gymnasium and pick out your problem readers
Absolutely.
within a few minutes.
Right.
And so as you are learning to do these types of activities, you are actually changing the brain.
Okay.
Was there some people in here who could not do this?
Mhm.
Okay. Are you confident that if I spent an hour with you, that you could do it if we worked hard enough? I will have changed your brain sufficiently that you can do it. Your brain got better. So the answer is yes, they do and can improve.
And there's studies.
You know what? If you want studies on that, I would go to braingym.org, braingym.org, and look at their program. And there's research there. I think
Yeah,
you'll
I'm
find
just
some
curious.
answers there. Because Jean talks all about, how kids who don't crawl sometimes have difficulties reading. With a high school student one time, she had to reprogram them because they didn't crawl and they had trouble reading. They went from laying to walking and didn't crawl. And so she reprogrammed, she taught them how to crawl. And his teacher actually, she taught them how to crawl, and the reading difficulties left in that case. It's really interesting.
Yeah.
Yes?
I teach phys ed and a health class as well too. And I try and help to do brand breaks as much as I can. I see the huge benefit of them. One thing that I struggle with is when I try to do partner ones as much as possible. I mix it up as well too, but you occasionally get those kids, like you said, that are just kind of by themselves, and they'll like do it for a little while, and then they just sit down, or they're just kind of standing there and kind of blend in. Do you have any strategies for those kinds of kids?
Well, for those kids, there's the extreme, they don't want to do it. And I get that question, I tell teachers that, just let them sit.
Yeah.
That's what I would do, is let them sit and watch. I would also give the entire class opportunities to do things that you know everybody's going to be successful with, like standing at their desk by themselves first, whether it's just a knee tap, so it's something they can do on their own, feel successful, sit them back down, and do that for a while. Okay, now we're going to try a partner one. And it might just be a simple partner one, where we're just doing a low five, or we're just handing a pen, something simple that they feel successful with somebody else. And then, the more success, the more you're going to open the door to more activity. So I would say, there's kids that can do all kinds of things right away. But I think for the benefit of the class, you start by themselves, so you see success in everyone, and then build from there. That's the best advice I have. And if they're really uncomfortable, just let them sit to the side. And it's also about building that classroom environment where it is safe to make a mistake. And talking about your mistakes and that you make. I make them all the time. But I have learned in my 50 years that, hey, that's a good thing. It gives me free information about what not to do next time or what I need to work on. So it's that framing and that perspective in your classroom of how you perceive making those mistakes, and the child feels safe. Those are just some things to think about. You may already do that. It's just some food for thought. Okay. Anything else? Well,
I
then- Yes,
was
sir.
just thinking that with all this great information, that occupational therapists, role also expands for those traumatized kids who are high in cortisol, and I'm
Absolutely.
thinking social work. That's
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely, and I don't know the occupational therapy world very well, but when they're in my sessions, they come up and they're thankful, and hey, we're doing some of these things, and meshed with their thinking and what they're doing. And that's good. That's good. So I really encourage you to go to my Twitter site and find, so that's where I post all the articles. It's my bank account for articles. All these kinds of topics you can find there. Or like John Rady on Facebook, R-A-T-E-Y. A lot of times, John Rady posts something, and I go and post it over on Twitter. He saves me all kinds of work. I just go, and I Lacey look good. You know, just giving credit where credit's due. So, and you find things like about the subjects that we're talking about. So, thank you. All right, here we go. Last activity. And don't look at these questions. I didn't say that. These are just fun questions again. A little bit of government, history, sports, movies, whatever. A little bit of music, okay? So you have a grid, an empty grid. You have a question with a number on it. When you turn the question over, I want you to answer the question in the appropriate grid. You have question number 6, you answer it in box 6. When you're done, you come to the center. This game is done silently. Come to the center and make a trade. Here's rule number 2 of the don't. Don't look at your card until you go back to your seat and sit all the way down. And then go, oh, I've had this one before. Then stand back up and go to the center. You'll begin to see people get a card and go, oh, I've had this one. And they wait in the center for the next one. A point of this is to go back and get your little squat in, get up, walk back, okay? So done silently, we'll do it for 3 minutes. Go. And if you don't know the answer, oh my goodness, it doesn't matter. Just write something. John Smith. Remember to go all the way back to your seat before you look at the card. Two and a half minutes left. If you're doing this with kids and they talk, you have the option of having a penalty box, the little behavior mod, which I told you doesn't work. 45 seconds of the penalty box.
Put back. Oh,
2 minutes left. Sure.
Answer any of these questions.
1.5 minutes left. One minute. Already done. 30 seconds. And make this your last question. And time.
How do you expect us to know the answers to all these questions?
No, you know what? It's just the framework. It's just the framework. It can be used. So benefits of this activity?
Move is fun.
It's fun. movement, you don't need the brain break, you're working academically, it's silent in
I was
there.
gonna say, it's nice and quiet.
And you
Yeah,
end up working with people that you normally wouldn't choose to.
that's absolutely right.
Right, you're just true.
Just trying to get the next card, so you're helping each other out. Good. All right, let's quickly, just tell your number, your question, and I'll give you the answer. And I'll say one or two things and we'll be done for the day. Go ahead.
Oh, currently, this is question 15. What male swimmer has won more Olympic gold than any other swimmer in history?
Yeah, Michael Phelps.
Yep.
17, what famous singer starred in Moonstruck?
Cher.
19, what golfer has won the most career major tournaments?
Jack Nicklaus.
7, what was Fonzie's first name?
Arthur.
Arthur.
One, who played Dorothy in the original movie version of The Wizard of Oz?
Judy Garland.
20 was name one Beatles song.
That's one of 10,000. Yeah, go ahead.
Capital of Virginia?
Richmond. What number was that?
I'm sorry, 3.
3. Okay.
13, what is 200 divided by 5?
40.
I said 40. Wow.
Me too. 14, who was the third president of the United States?
Thomas Jefferson.
Oh,
Number 18, what Major League slugger is the all-time home run king?
With an asterisk, Barry Bonds.
Number 8, what is the capital of Mississippi?
Jackson.
What's the best-selling album of all time? Number 2.
Thriller.
Elvis.
Who was the first African-American to win the Heisman Trophy?
Ernie Davis, Syracuse.
I did not
You
know
never
that.
heard of him because he died of leukemia the summer before he was going to the NFL. Movie about him called The Express. It's a great movie.
Wow. I had 11, what's the capital of Washington?
Olympia.
I had 12, who was the second president of the United States?
John Adams. So folks, while you're still sitting at your desks, let me just give you 2 resources, okay? And I'm going to wrap up my comments and we'll be done. If you want to review or if you want to send something to another teacher maybe, I have about a 16-minute TEDx talk. If you go to YouTube, Kinesthetic Classroom, it comes up, or my name, okay? Number 2, if you go to Move to Learn MS, movetolearnms.org, you will find a fantastic website there with hundreds of free videos. Just so you know, elementary based, but they're 3 to 5 minute videos of Coach Calhoun in Mississippi, and it's just meant for Mississippi teachers, but anyone around the world can download it. You'll also find an advocacy video there. If you go on the link that says About Move to Learn, you'll find about a 14-minute advocacy video, K through high school. It's superintendents, health officials, doctors. It's great. So check those 2 things out. And folks, listen, for a 4 to 6 on a Thursday, wow, you were great. And I hope you have a better understanding of, I'll get these, of the framework and why it's important and how to implement it. And if you ever have any questions, my email is going to be on that packet. Don't hesitate to contact me. And just thank you so much for taking the time to be here today.
Thank you.